Hello and welcome to Alive and Composing with today's guest, Mick Rossi. Would you please state your name for the record?
Mick Rossi.
The first questions are usually the hardest, so I hope that was all right.
That one's a little tough. I think I need a couple more cocktails.
Okay, well here's another one for you. We do a longitudinal study of composers and their household pets. Do you have any, and do they have interesting names?
I do not have one currently, though my girlfriend has a very cool cat named Roswell, who is living elsewhere because we're both very allergic to this little animal. So, not that interesting, but this is like a dog cat. I can put him on my head, which I often have done, which is probably not helping my allergies much, but...
Are you allergic to space aliens called Roswell?
I was just in South Korea and trying to get into the North and see if I could maybe follow up on their space program, but apparently they wouldn't let me in. They wouldn't even let me in.
It's coming to us if we wait, don't worry.
Exactly.
Tell me about your earliest sound memory.
My earliest?
Cast your mind back.
Wow. My earliest sound memory.
Maybe it's this morning, I don't know.
It was pretty early this morning. I was up because I'm still jet lagged from this Korean trip.
What were you doing in Korea? We'll come back to the sound memory later.
I have been playing with Philip Glass now for 17 years. The ensemble. Went there to do very, very cool film project called La Belle et la Bête, the original Cocteau. And with some people who you know, in fact, I'm sure. And did 4 concerts there. 2 in Seoul and 2 in a little town very far south on the coast called, not Pyongyang, which is up, but Tangyang, where I don't really eat like shellfish, and so it was a little complicated having to eat things that were moving and staring at me, and
So this brings up the fact that you are a performer of some kind. What do you play, or what do you not play, actually?
Well, I play piano, I play drums, I play percussion. I'm a former oboist, happily former, and anything I can hit, I play. I play all the, I play organ and all that stuff. I went to school, actually my undergraduate degree is in percussion, drums, and then I went to graduate school for composition, but I guess I'm mainly known as a pianist, but I can almost play anything if I get my hands on it,
But what was
Not
that,
well, perhaps.
What was that pivotal moment when you went from percussion major to composition person?
Well, I'd always been writing music. I had always been writing since I was young. I've been improvising as a pianist since I started playing when I was 4, which is, I guess everybody improvises when they're 4, but I kept it going, and much to the chagrin of my dad, who was a great accordionist, who started me off playing piano, forced me to read when I didn't want to, and my ear was quite good as a kid, so started playing drums when I was about 7, and then I had been writing music for a long time, and then I guess I went to graduate school as a composer just because it was efficient, and I got a scholarship to NYU.
Well, what did you learn from your teachers that you might pass on to the next generation? Do you have any pearls of wisdom?
Wow. Well, I will say that, I'm classically trained, of course, but I've always been an improviser. And when I was a teenager in my early 20s, I studied with a very interesting kind of jazz guru in Philadelphia named Dennis Sandoli, who was John Coltrane's teacher, among other people. And he taught me that no matter what you end up doing, it's actually kind of okay. Like, any music that you're writing, of course, should have substance and agency and etc. But as long as you're pushing it, and if it's bad, I think that's fine. You got to push this thing, because otherwise just going to sound like everyone else, which is also fine for some people. But he really, I think, gave me the courage to keep my stubborn head and philosophy in line, which is something that, you know, I never really strayed from. I'm not sure it's practical, but here's where I am at this point. I'm almost 60, so made it this far.
And you perform in a number of different ensembles, and do you treat that as a way to kind of absorb other information that parlays into your own composition as well, the different people you work with or the different ensembles?
I guess so, to some degree. It seems that I do find Philip's music creeping into my own after all these years. You know, I have been out there in the pop world a lot, and I don't find that influence so strong in my work. A lot of times I come by these projects just out of nowhere, which I don't even listen to pop music, and it's quite funny when people go, "Oh, that's so-and-so," I'll be like, "Who?" And then meanwhile, you know, I'm sort of in that world, you know, but yeah, I think I'm sure it has some influence, but in general, my tastes are pretty esoteric, and quite often I'm not even listening to much music, especially when I'm writing music.
What's been your career low point, apart from this interview, of course? A horrible time on stage? Or?
I'm not sure I can match this. No, just kidding. Wow, career low point. I think maybe, I don't know, I don't really have one. I mean, it's not like things haven't happened. I have been fired. Who hasn't been fired? I got fired by the jazz great Pat Martino. You know, still a friend, and I think it was deserved. When he called me for this, I said, "I don't think you really want me. I think I'm wrong." And he's like, No. I don't know if you know Pat, he's great. Let's see. There was a low point, now that I think of it, when I first got in the Philip Ensemble. I was going through a very rough time, a divorce. And we were playing outside of Rome, actually outside of Naples, near Pompeii, in this Colosseum. It was just like insane. It was so amazing. And I remember there was a very, very long walk to the stage, which was probably inhabited by lions and gladiators or whatever. But I remember I was the last person in the line because I was going to be first on that side or something, and a bird just let go right on my back. Big white blotch right here on my back, almost on my neck, and black. You know, we were all in black, and the tour manager was behind me trying to. And I remember thinking, man, things are rough right now. It wasn't so much a career, but a life thing. I was like, man. That was the time. That was rough. I got through it, though.
You're lucky it wasn't a lion. It was just
exactly. Yeah, comparatively.
And your own music, do you write for other people, for yourself? Is this a fortress of solitude kind of thing, away from your day gig?
No, I write for other people. I've had a very wide range of experience producing records, both commercial and non-commercial, writing music for film, mixing projects, orchestrating for people like Renee Fleming, doing sessions for people like Paul Simon or Kelly Clarkson, you know, writing music for ensembles like the Jack Quartet. Now it's been pretty wide. I mean, I've managed to stay in the music business a long time and pretty much, you know, do almost what I want, not do too much stuff that I'm not interested in, by being diverse, I think, and playing a lot of instruments and also being part of the technical side of it. So yeah, I do a lot of things like that. And right at the moment I'm actually mixing sound for a film. I didn't write the music for this, although I've written music for this particular director maybe 3 or 4 times, but I'm actually just doing the final mix on the whole film. So yeah, one way or another, I'm collaborating with a lot of people.
And you're based in New York. Can you imagine doing your art anywhere else?
Yeah, I imagine it all the time, actually. I've been in Brooklyn a long time, which is great. The thing about me is that I can actually write music anywhere. I could, in this hotel room, I can write music. I can write it in the most serene place in, Tuscany. I could write it in an absolute construction-filled cacophony, in Gowanus, where my studio is. So I think by necessity I've learned that because of deadlines and all, I don't really have the luxury of saying, oh, I need real quiet, So, yeah, I mean, I could do it anywhere. I mean, it would be really nice to have a place like somewhere in Italy or, the Southwest, or I think about that, but I'm fine. It's just as long as I can keep making real music, I can do it anywhere almost.
And as you're composing, you're also kind of improvising, you're inputting it through a keyboard or something often, is that right? And how do you keep pushing yourself beyond your own limitations?
Yeah, a lot of it starts out as improvisation, but there are times when it's strictly pencil and paper, almost clinical, a little bit clinical. But I'm interested in making things messy, and so I guess I push myself by, actually I just had a commission by Y Music recently, and it's not improvised fully, but there are moments of improvised sounding sections. And I don't know, I feel like, it's possible that my system could be more rigorous, but I think as a musician I've found myself to be in a place where I'm interested in pleasing myself. And it seems that this is the only thing that I don't really question too hard. I'm a little hard on myself in a lot of things. So this stuff comes to me pretty quickly. Whether it's good or not, I don't know. I almost don't care. I mean, I don't want to look like a fool, but I'm happy to let it just happen, and I don't get too heady about it, actually.
I think this album on Innova will be maybe your 10th?
Yeah, I think it is my 10th.
How has that evolved over the years, and with each release? Are there things that change and things that surprise you, or things that remain the same no matter what?
They always change because the projects are always kind of different, and I still have about 4 or 5 other projects in the can sitting there too. So a lot of it has to do with what I happen to be doing at the time, and then I'd be like, wow, this should be a record. In this case, this particular Innova release was a conscious effort to do a specific thing that came from a film project, but quite often I'll just be in the middle of writing music for a particular ensemble, and I'll just make the record, and then I'm on to another solo piano thing, and then I'll be on to a string quartet or something. Yeah, so it's, as long as I can keep myself, I'm interested in doing, very diverse projects, so they sort of take on a life of their own.
Tell us about 160.
160 began as a film, a documentary film by a really excellent oboist in New York, Matt Dine, whose father is Jim Dine, the great visual artist. He, in fact, perhaps it's my old oboe days, for some reason I've been commissioned by Matt to score 2 oboe films. This is the second one. I mean, it's so ridiculously esoteric, but the first was about an autistic amateur oboist, which is partially redundant, I suppose. And but this was about a great double reed factory in Austria by the great Albrecht Meyer, and he asked me to write the music for this. It's a very short film. I think it's 35 minutes or something. And so I wrote 12 minutes of music for this movie. That's pretty much all he needed, and I was kind of excited by it, and I just wanted to continue it, and I played all the instruments on it. It's all live, overdubbed of course, but and it's all in the metronome marking 160. So hence the title, which I think we're going to keep.
And before I let you go, did you remember your earliest sound memory yet?
You know, it's quite possible it was the Three Stooges.
And is that a metaphor for everything that followed?
Apparently, I think you should tell me. Probably, I used to practice with the Three Stooges on, I remember that. So I guess it's possible that was it. Could explain a lot of things.
I'm sure there'll be answers in the comments section below.
I hope so.
In the meantime, Mick Rossi, thanks very much.
Thank you. I'm so happy you decided to put this record out. Thank you.